Welcome everybody to the Poke Battle Network. Today we have the Season 1 World Champion run of the Crupt Cup. He took on the SBL Champion League that has been going on since Season 1. I've been partaking in there. It is a great EU region to get some incredible battling happening for your rank there for the remote. And we have an amazing guest, who other than the man of Devon himself, the Devon founder and the official Go-caster, Adelian, the representation of EU, to join us today. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It'll be very, very exciting to see this spectacular run in a community where I've actually taken part in these tournaments as well, because they're very well run. So for those of you who are looking for a tournament to do Devon Cups in, then SBL is definitely a community that I would heavily recommend. So I know Rhyblet very, very well. He was a fantastic world champion in Season 1, so I'm very excited to see just how well he did in this tournament as well, and basically see, does he still have it?
I mean, the only time I premiere Rhyblet is if he does have it. He's always on every tournament. All of the runs we've been showing from Rhyblet are coming from either Palatown or SBL. He's incredible battler, and he's coming back again for Season 2. And I love SBL. They've been so great for me for Season 1. I couldn't get any real locals going in with 3 or 4 rounders. So having SBL be that remote to give me 5 or 6 rounds a month was so good. And I could rely on them to always bring it. And the battlers are incredible. Not just Rhyblet. You get battlers coming through like C. Leonardo, Matthew Brewer, who Adelian comes through occasionally too. But incredible battling all across the board. And I'm really excited that we have you today to share this run that he did of our first meta here of Season 2.
Yes, I think his first opponent was a player called Ricky Burrows, who did reasonably well in this tournament as well. With the Crypt Cup, it was the first meta of Season 2 of the Devon series. I'm very excited about this new series because it is going to be a little bit longer than Season 1, and we'll also have 4 international showdowns as part of it, in addition to the World Championship towards the end of the season. And I'm obviously looking to get more funding in place to make those prizes towards the end of the season even more lucrative, which is fantastic for a grassroots format to have actual monetary interest, shall we say, that helps battlers to really enjoy taking part.
Yeah, well, I mean, the metas have been so great, and this Crypt Cup was so fun in the first season that for sure turned a lot of heads and got more people excited about, even after watching the World Championship. So with the new IS coming out every month, we've got our first one for the Chaos Cup, but we'll get more into those down the road here as we're going to watch this incredible run of a tournament that's so tight. It's so epic. The battlers that come through have been battling for so long, and let's take a look at their teams as well, as Rhyblet is bringing in the restrictions of low kicks and G-Weezing. Then he's rocking that Clefairy, Marowak, Amoonguss, and Dusk Noir. I'm not gonna lie, we took kind of pages out of each other. That Clefable, we battled, and he really liked it. I really liked it, so he used it. And he showed me how to really use a lot of those Pokemon, and so meticulously. I can't wait to see how he plays them out, because we saw how I played them out in the season, but how he plays them out could be so much better, and I'm so excited. And Ricky Burrows is rocking the low kicks Lapras restriction, the Clefable, Pillow-Swine, Beedrill, Shadow, which was an interesting pick, thinking early that Bugs could take the run. And then they had the Spirit Tomb as well, which got the boost of Sucker Punch. That was just so much fun to play with. Adelian, you had a team here as well that came out with it. What did you like about these opponents' teams, and what did you like about the Crypt Cup in this team building?
So if we start with Rhyblet's team, I think Lockix and Galarian Weezing were the two most popular restricted picks, and they pair up very nicely because G Weezing is able to protect Lockix from quite a few of its counters. I think the biggest core breaker for those two was probably Clefable, which is why you've seen that on so many teams, and it was a little bit of a discussion point for a lot of players as to what for charge attacks they have on Clefable, whether they have Swift, Meteor Mash, or indeed Moonblast as well. Moving to Ricky Burrows' team in particular, I like the remaining picks that he has. Piloswine is very, very unique in the meta, has beautiful coverage with ice and ground attacks. I do rate the Shadow Beedrill as well. I think even though it's a little bit slow to its attacks now, with Poison Jab and X Scissor and typically Drill Run, I still think it's a very versatile Pokemon and one that can cause problems for a lot of other cores in the Crypt meta. And then, of course, with Spiritomb, I think that's a more interesting choice. Again, another Sucker Punch user, and I'm kind of toying with the idea where is Spiritomb a better choice, or is it worth maybe considering the going for a more ghost-orientated attack like Rhyblet has done with the Astonish, or the double Astonish from Dusknoir and Amoonguss as well. So many different ways to play, but what I liked about the Crypt Cup is how it forced players like Ricky, like Rhyblet to go, right, we cannot run the same 6 meta Pokemon that you typically see. We got to change it up. I'm only restricted to having 2 really good Pokemon. The other 4 have to be something that caters to the common cause and also anything else I might see. So team building has been key here in addition to fantastic gameplay in this meta.
Oh my god, the team building for Crypt Cup was so much fun, especially during the Halloween. And when we got to allow to play with Spiritomb again, it almost had a feel of Sinister Cup from previous meta, from Season 2 Sylph. And I really like the fact that it was not the same 6, because going through those Pokemon lineups, you really saw all those restricted Pokemon could have played a 6 player team all the time, and it would have been really boring and stale. In the first look that we did, we're going to get the tournament battle going, but in the first look we did, Fish brought on Magmortar, and it was really interesting to see Magmortar play really well. But then I really didn't see Magmortar play really well in this, as we do see the new Sucker Punch, or Shadow Punch Astonish, Dusknoir taking on the Piloswine, and you're right there with the Piloswine having great coverage, especially with Powder Snows getting to the charge move so quickly.
Yes, I think Dusknoir has been a relatively safe lead in many cases. It really just fears the Lockix that's often in the Crypt Cup. But here, this is relatively safe. Dusknoir is able to throw that first Shadow Punch here, going for a potential bait. And Piloswine isn't the bulkiest of Pokemon, so it will have to try and consider whether it shields. Chooses not to. Ricky Barrow is going for another attack, but is unable to get it, which means Dusknoir's now in a really strong position, though it's down a shield.
Astonish has a new look to it, and it feels wonderful. Watching that Astonish do so much damage and build the energy so quickly now with that Shadow Punch, it paves the way for the Galarian Weezing to start throwing brutal swings onto this Lapras. My mistake. I didn't even see that catch happen. Ricky Barrows is throwing everybody off right now.
Excellent catch by Ricky there. He did not want to stay into that Spiritomb matchup. Spiritomb has very few weaknesses, but the one weakness it has is Fairy-type Pokemon. Galarian Weezing with Fairy Wind is a threat. This is a sensible shield by Ricky Burrows, even though it is a bait. There is that fear that Overheat, even though Lapras is reasonably bulky, Overheat will do a huge amount of damage from Galarian Weezing. So a bait here, and this one was not called. Ricky Burrows making the right decision here to go for it, but Rhyblet spamming with these brutal swings. Over time, this will chip away at Lapras, and they won't be able to do very much here anymore.
No, I mean, you could just say goodbye to the Weezing and let whatever come in and farm down. I mean, he's still one Astonish away, and that Lapras is done. And then he's back up to where he needs to be. And I love this core here. Seeing the double Fairy core was a huge key in this Crypt Cup meta here, where you get to, if you got rid of G Weezing, here comes a Clefable as a Shadow Ball gets shielded, and Rhyblet going right away for that Ghost move there. Was it his own Shadow Ball? ball or another shadow
I
punch?
believe it was. Yes, it was another shadow ball. Both moves going shielded. Correct decision by both trainers.
Mm-hmm.
But here is the double fairy. This is a double fairy strategy here. And Meteor Mash, even though it is a neutral damage here, it is a very, very high hitting move.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's going to do a huge amount of damage. Spiritomb knocking it out straight away. And now all you're left with is a Lapras, which is so low. The fairy winds are going to be enough to take it out. And so Rhyblet gets that first win. We weren't sure if he was going to pull that off, but he was able to do that. Very well done.
Yeah, Rhyblet played that really smart there. He had the opportunity to keep the G-Weezing in there and just spam it and spam it. He swapped out immediately. He didn't keep the Dust Noir there, and he made sure that the Clefable had a shield in the back. Now, once all three Pokemon were revealed and he saw that Lapras had nothing left, he could just throw energy on that Spiritomb and then swap out immediately to his Fairy. And he didn't give away that he had Swift on that as well, which was key. I don't believe he gave away Overheat too, which plays as well too if we're looking at that Spiritomb, because that a lot of battlers too played with that with G-Weezing, whether to have Overheat, Play Rough, and I was playing with the idea of Sludge. I thought that would be fun, and it was when you saw more fairies, but it doesn't help out with that Spiritomb, with that Dust Noir, which you ended up really seeing Clefable play with, end up matching and pairing with.
Yes, absolutely right. So I think for Ricky Boris, he now needs to readjust in game 2. So I am now rather curious to see how he will go about that. So from Ryblet's perspective, I think the double fairy strategy is still the way to go. So I'm curious now whether he does indeed decide to stick with that, or whether there's a slight reordering. Bear in mind that was a rather classical ABB strategy, as we call it. Is it worth changing that to an ABA now, expecting Rocky Burrows to adjust? That's going to be the debate to be had. We can see here that Rhyblet was definitely considering, what do I change here? You can see that Lockix has now was being considered in the lead, but Lockix, it will be interesting into Ricky Burrows' team. It will be neutral against the Spiritomb. It will have an okay play against Beedrill, but not really. Just because Beedrill is able to threaten with X-Zone, it's often forgotten that that bug moves are actually super effective on Lockix, because Lockix doesn't resist its own typing. So let's see. Let's see what Rhyblet does.
Yeah. I'm intrigued that he wanted to go with the low kicks for a minute, but like you said, you got Ricky Burrows bringing his own low kick, so if he gets caught with it, rather have the spammy of the Dust Noir as he gets the Lapras. And this was the beauty about Lapras. It's so tanky, it can take a charge move, and that's what I really liked seeing it play in, and I see why it was used as a restriction, because with this meta, not a lot of things could soak up damage, and Lapras was one of those that could take that and throw it back. So as it throws the Surf and gets the shield off of Rhyblet, Rhyblet doing what he loves doing best, building up the energy, counting on his opponent, and now almost 2 Shadow Balls. Here comes the first one.
And it's key for Ricky Burrows here. He's seen Shadow Punch was launched first in game 1. Does he shield game 2? Yes, he does make the right call there. And this is a charge attack priority event as well. We have to bear in mind that Lapras' Surf now takes a little bit longer because of the nerf last season. So the second Surf coming in, and this is now both shields down for Rhyblet very early on in this matchup. Will that be decisive?
Ooh, with 2 Shadow Punches ready to go. He counted it. I think Ricky is still 1 Ice Shard away from it, but Ricky knows, and he's gonna let it go, keeping his shield, putting himself in a good shield advantage. We'll see if that plays in his favor as that Pillow-Swine comes back. We were talking about how great and spammy it was. It did put some good coverage in game 1. Will it be able to do anything here in game 2 with that extra shield? And here comes Clefable, and here comes the Beedrill. Woo!
This is great for Ricky Burrows. I think he made a very sensible call there, and very brave one, I must admit, to no shield when he knew that Dust Noir had a Shadow Ball there. Clefable now revealing it has Swift here to chip away at this Beedrill, and Beedrill does make the shield actually on here. And now this is actually, this is Beedrill over farming perhaps, and now has to take a Meteor Mash, and I don't think there are any more shields available, so this will do a huge amount of damage to a Shadow. Oh my goodness, almost taking it out.
That is so much health gone when you feel so good. You shield the first first one and you overfarmed just a little bit, all you had to do was throw one charge move to get it off, and now this Beedrill would have been so healthy for this G-Weezing, as a drill run should be coming through, taking almost over half the health into the deep red. But don't fear, because it's one more Astonish and a Shadow Punch. My mistake. The Shadow Punch was ready to go. Will it be enough on this glassy Piloswine?
Yes, Piloswine quite glassy, but it just about survives. Now for Piloswine, it has to be a rush to try and get to a move, and whether can it father? No, it's a double KO, but Rhyblet still has that final Pokemon in the back, which means Rhyblet actually wins game 2, and that's a very decisive victory there. Already 2 games won in this best of 3.
That's so tough when you have the energy. All you have to do is farm them down, and you could just get a charge move off and KO the opponent. And yet, Astonish is just putting in the work on damaging. Dusknoir, again, so great, got a boost there and was given that Shadow Punch. So now it has ways to play in against its opponent. We'll see what Ricky does, because we haven't seen that low kicks come out. But of course, you know, the low kicks, if it was to come out again in either of those matchups, would have saw 2 fairies. So it's really not something he wants to do, which allows Dusknoir to really have some fun.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's very, very tactical there by Rhyblet. So, of course, this in Devon tournaments, we have best of 3, but the third matchup still does count towards ranking in the Devon leaderboards. So it's very valuable for Ricky Burrows to try and attempt to, if he is going to lose this with 2 losses to 1, 1 win that is, as opposed to losing 3. So it is always worth playing 3 matches. A little bit of a contrast with Play Pokemon and other official tournaments.
Right, and that's what I love about Devon, because you can still fight and get a point, just like in Battle Frontier or Gym Breakers. Every point counts. Like, I'm still 2-3. I ended 2-3, and I think I ended 1 point ahead because I had swept somebody in my matchup, or I had I went 1-2. Nobody swept me in this tournament, so I was able to go 1 over it. Even though we had the same record, 2-3, Ricky Burrows and I, it's still great to go and battle for that third matchup. And we talked about it, and we see the low kicks coming out right onto this Lapras. And
yes,
you know what? This is so interesting because, yeah, there's so much tankiness on this Lapras, but look what Sucker Punch is doing.
Sucker Punch, if it has been buffed in the new season, and this is now going to be increased even further because this is Trailblaze, will Ricky Burrows shield? Because this might be a bait, and he doesn't, and he takes huge amount of damage on the Lapras.
Yeah, like, in this day and age, with Trailblaze being the boost and Sucker Punch being as good as it is, you'd want to think that even if you shield, they're going to want to up their Sucker Punch so that they have extra farm or extra damage down, as almost to another Sucker or Trailblaze ready to go. Can he do it? Rhyblet counts beautifully right before that X-Scissor can come through from the Beedrill.
Yes, I think this is sensible. Even though this is resisted damage, it still does pull a shield here. And will he get to another one? No, but is farmed down by the Beedrill, but now can bring in the Dusknoir and keep his Galarian Weezing safe from this Beedrill, which I think is vital in the end game. So a very calculated decision to let Lockix go. I'm not sure that shield was necessary from Ricky Burrows there, which may cost him in the long run. But let's see as Piloswine enters the field.
Piloswine. You know, wasn't even on my radar for the Crypt Cup, the way everything had been playing out. And when I saw it come against me and battlers play with it so beautifully, you're like, oh, that's right. You forget how great of a Pokemon this is. You know, you get flashes of that Ember Cup where you're like, I remember like one Aquatail knocked you out, but there's no Aquatail user out here. There's a Lapras Surf, but that's not on Rhyblet's team. So Piloswine here putting that pressure, getting the last shield and forcing these charge moves to come off of this G-Weezing.
I just think using spamminess with that brutal swing, being able to get to that in 4 fairy wins is so tricky. With Piloswine, there was a softening up of Piloswine before Galarian Weezing was brought in, and now these brutal swings are really able to help. I think Ricky Burrows recognizing that he is not going to reach the drill run here before another brutal swing is launched by Galarian Weezing, and as a result opts to forfeit the match at this point, and the KO is secured, and that's a decisive 3-0, just what you'd expect from the Devon World Champion.
right? He came in with a strategy. And if we looked at PV Poke at the beginning of this tournament, Galarian Weezing was number one, right up there with low kicks. Later in the month, everybody realized the power of the Clefable being able to break that core. And Pillowswine even jumped up to some of the top 20 as well. So a great meta shift and recognition from Ricky Burrow, though it is Rhyblet who does take the first matchup here 3-0, and we're going to get into round 2 and see how our world champion takes on his next opponent. All right, we're getting into round 2, and it's none other than Devon analyst Matthew Brewer, who absolutely wants to take a crack at the world champion in our first cup meta. Why wouldn't he? Let's see what his new skills does in this new Crypt Cup. As we see, he brings in a wonderful team of Jellicent low kicks as his restriction, Clefable, Marowak, Magmortar, and Shiinotic. I hope I said that right, Adelian, but we're looking at Matt's team. It's real interesting. What are you seeing here?
Well, I don't think I've ever seen any grassroots tournaments that have Magmortar and Shiinotic in it. So this is going to be really, really cool to see. Matthew Brewer, of course, fantastic battler. His experiences, I'm sure he has competed in Silph Continentals and made it into the top 8 in previous iterations of the grassroots. So his talents as a battler are certainly not to be sniffed at, and this will be a real challenge for Rhyblet to beat. I'll be interested to see just how the team goes. I feel Magmortar and Shiinotic are a little bit more off meta, a little bit more unusual, but just because something's off meta doesn't necessarily mean it won't be problematic for Rhyblet's team. I mean, we can already see that Magmortar isn't going to be fearful of the Galarian Weezing. It will certainly not be fearful of the low kicks, and it has nice resistances. So that double fairy strategy that Rhyblet used in his match against Ricky Burrows may not be as effective because Magmortar is there and will be able to handle those 2 fairies to a large extent. So I'm very excited to see what does Matthew Brewer do against this beast of a player in Rhyblet.
I'm right there with you. Both of them are calculated battlers, and we're going to see Clefable into Clefable lead. I saw this numerous amounts of times. Adelian, I don't know if you brought Clefable, but Clefable lead seemed to be a really good way because that Meteor Mash was so strong against so many people. Even if it was a neutral hit, you saw it do so much damage. So Clefable lead here, I like it, especially if it was to get let in on something else. He gets the shield right off the bat from Matt, and we're going to see what Matt does. Again, Matt could be rocking the Moonblast or the Meteor Mash or the Swift himself. We'll see what he is. He rocks and throws the Meteor Mash. Both of them may be timing up. Oh, he swaps out into the Marowak. That's an interesting swap out, including especially because that Mud Slap's a 3-turn move. Those 2-turn Fairy Winds get some extra charge move before he throws the Meteor Mash and dip. No.
No, he's staying in, but now brings in the Dusknoir to try and make that catch here, which I think is a sensible move because this Clefable might be something that will be useful to Rhyblet in the long run, but the Bone Club does do a respectable amount of damage, but this Marowak now so low. Is it going to be a charge attack priority event? And it is, and Dusknoir surprisingly wins that.
That is really interesting to see Dusknoir win that. But the Mud Slaps did so much work onto that Dusknoir. They took it almost half health, and you know, Matt's got to say goodbye to his Marowak right there on the Day of the Dead little custom flowers. Beautiful skin right there as the Clefable comes right back. Now, not having the G Weezing's kind of difficult and lets Dusknoir play really well. But where's the low kicks if you're not bringing that back? That's the interesting I'm intrigued about as we see a Moonblast revealed, and that's going to be huge. I can see come down the line later in this matchup.
Yes, and now both trainers are going to know that each other's Clefables are running different move sets, but this is where the Swift is coming out from Magmortar, which does get shielded because Matt doesn't necessarily know that Rhyblet isn't running Moonblast, but a Brutal Swing coming in here. This is going to do a respectable amount of damage because this Magmortar is quite low on its defenses, so actually just another Brutal Swing would be enough, but this Magmortar has so much energy now. Getting off that Fire Spin, will it be a Flamethrower? Will it be a Brick Break or something else? No, it's Scorching Sands.
Scorching Sands coming out of a fire Pokemon to take out this poison fairy and leave it all on Clefable with very little health. But guess what, Adelian? He's got his shield and Fairy Wind isn't going to do it. Can he get to the mash in time? And he can! Keeping the shield for the Clefable and keeping Clefable alive. Getting to that Meteor Mash is huge. And he will 1 KO that. Oh my goodness, so super effective. What does that do? Almost 80% of Clefable's health?
Yes, it does a huge amount of damage. And what astounds me is the sort of confidence that Rhyblet had that he would just about survive. That match was actually incredibly close. I think the phrase of 1 HP in a dream very much applies here. I'm not sure if Rhyblet exactly knew whether he would survive that final Fairy Win, but he gets it off. Credit to Matthew Brewer for making it so close.
So close. Now, the differences that we started recognizing while battling in this meta with the Swift in the Moonblast. If Matthew Brewer, who you saw built up all of that energy in the end, had the Swift, the Clefable would have been difficult to deal with, but he wouldn't have been able to take out the Dusknoir and have the energy for Clefable in the back, which led to Rhyblet holding on to that shield. The micro play these battlers have to come up with in the middle of the matchup has been so immaculate, and this meta has been allowing them to really play with this new Niantic upgrade, these new Pokemon upgrades that we've seen that have been from the maxed out season. It's been wonderful all month.
Yes, and I think that was what Crypt was all about. When Devon was starting to build this meta, we were thinking we want something that really allows trainers to showcase and play with these new Pokemons in a meta that's balanced, enjoyable, and most importantly has variety between teams as well, so that it doesn't come across as stale. So very excited to now see how Matthew adapts, because he's known for it, and see what changes are made in the face of Rhyblet, who has proven himself time and again. He is the master of grassroots formats.
I mean, you're 4-0 going into it, and he gets Dusknoir onto that Magmortar. I liked Matthew's team from game 1. He had a bit of everything. The anti-fairy with the new Fire Spin in this Magmortar is something incredible, especially if you're rocking Scorching Sands with it, because you can then do really good damage onto that poison typing. And the Marowak comes flying back out with that new Mud Slap too. Mwah! Love the damage on it. And the Astonish that it's got new doesn't do it because that defense there is so good, and the catch onto the Clefable, Rhyblet just making the calls, Adelian, just making those calls.
I think it's great to get that catch in there. Clefable is able to withstand that Bone Club very easily and is able to spam back with the Meteor Mash, with the Swift. Who's going to be launching the first charge attack first? No, it is going to be another Bone Club, I suspect, from Marowak there with the same type of attack bonus. Clefable pulling up a shield just to make sure that it stays healthy, because I think if it didn't, the Bone Club would probably survive, but only survive on 1 HP, and then there would be a Mud Slap to finish it off. And now, I don't think this Meteor Mash actually KO'd, therefore a Swift has to go in. So all that energy that Clefable's built up doesn't actually serve it very well, because it's now going to be dry and low on health.
But a great recognition. A tap, then throw. A tap, get the Swift ready to go and make the throw. He did a great job getting to that Swift to make sure he wins switch advantage and reveal that Shintalk in the back. You said you've never seen Magmortar and Shintalk in a grassroots, Adelian. Now we're getting it on the battlefield, teaming up together, having a good time. And here comes Magmortar. Scorching Sand we saw revealed already. Will he give up the shield for it? Yes. It's a fire punch bait, Matthew Brewer, and just like you said, lady, can he survive this brutal swing? Is Magmortar defensive enough to survive this brutal swing? Yes, it is!
So close, but will it be able to get a move? It does get another move off, which is really key to soften up this Galarian Weezing, which is so strong in this meta. It is just another fire punch, but look at the damage it does.
Oh, not being able to take it out too much. I don't know if Shiinotic could take it down without him getting a charge move off, throwing that brutal swing. Shinotic is poison, right? Grass poison, or is it
I
fairy?
believe it's Grass Fairy, and so
Grass
it won't do
fairy. Okay,
a lot of
okay.
damage. But the concern now is Rhyblet is going to come in with that Meteor Mash, and I think no, actually going in for the Dusknoir, they're looking to soften up this Shinotic even more, which I think is sensible because also that means Shinotic now has to use its energy to eliminate this Dusknoir, making the path clear for this Clefable to finish the job off. And with the extra chip damage that Dusknoir has managed to get on Shinotic, will Meteor Mash be enough? Just about gets that KO in. Again, on 1 HP, Rhyblet has pulled it out of the bag.
My man, Clefable was no joke. Being able to sit there and Fairy Wind and take Fairy Winds. I mean, Fairy Wind is such a great move. It builds energy so quickly. And if you notice, Matthew Brewer also rocking the double fairy play there with Shinotic and with Clefable. And like we said, at the end of the month, you saw Clefable really build itself as one of the top tier for this Crypt Cup because of that Meteor Mash, because it was able to put the pressure down on it. And you are absolutely right. The champions winning with 1 HP, and you're sitting there like, how? With what?
Pulled it off.
How has he pulled it off again? But again, if we just watch the microplay, right with the Marowak in the Clefable, right? It was down to the wire. The Marowak just needed to throw a couple of mud slaps to get it off. And he recognized that, went one extra tap with the and then through the Meteor Match, and then through one extra tap and had the Swift ready to go, giving himself the extra tap to put that pressure down, either take the final shield or get that Marowak off. It's such intricate plays like that. If you're Matthew Brewer, you're not. What are you doing? You can't be mad at your team lineups because you're playing them so great. You're just getting fairy win by just. Ugh.
Tiny. It's one of those things. This is where they always say that the phrases are always IVs don't matter until they do. And it might be a case in this scenario where they really might matter. And it just goes to show both trainers are so strong here, such experience, such talent, that it does come down to the wire. No different to any other tournaments where you have two top players facing off against each other. And we are only seeing this in round 2 of SBL, so that's crazy.
Like we were talking earlier, this league is wild and filled with great battlers all around. As the champ is finally gonna play with low kicks, we're finally gonna see low kicks come out. Maybe he feels good about Shinotic not coming out this time. We'll have to find out as Clefable leads for him, and Matthew Brewer brings back the Magmortar lead.
I think Matthew Brewer will be very happy to see Clefable here. Magmortar is able to resist the Fairy Winds as well as the Meteor Mash as well. Only downside is Swift is very spammy, and Magmortar doesn't have the highest of defenses, but Matt will take pleasure in the fact that he's able to launch first, and that does a huge amount of damage for what is just a 500. Trying to get a catch off with the Jellison that's been brought in and responded to blocking. And oh no, Matt does not want to see this.
That is not what you want to see when you're trying to make a catch. He hasn't brought it all tournament. This is game 6. He finally brings in the low kicks. As Surf, even though it got boosted in damage, got nerfed in energy, the sucker punches just farming down and catching it perfectly with the counting. Rhyblet throws the Trailblaze to boost up his sucker punch. We knew the Jelly was gonna go down, and back maybe Magmortar on 2 fire spins will come back. Can he get to? Nope, Matt can't get to that X charge move.
And Matt will be very happy he's been able to farm down the low kicks in 2 fire spins, because that, even though X Scissor is resisted on Magmortar, it would still do a huge amount of damage. But what's key is Rhyblet's now been able to earn alignment and get his Clefable off Magmortar, now faces it up against Dusknoir. Dusknoir, recognizing the damage that could come from a Scorching Sands, chose for the Fire Punch, which is a good call by Matt here. And now that reliable Marowak coming in as the safe swap to respond to Dusknoir is looking very good, as a Shadow Punch is being launched now by Rhyblet. Does Matthew Brewer worry that this is a Shadow Ball, and does he shield? Therefore he does.
Ooh, that's a tough shield too, because a Marowak could take a Shadow Ball. So Matt clearly investing in this defensive Pokemon with that new Mud Slap can know that it can farm down this Clefable if it invests the shield, because Fairy Wind isn't going to do much. So here's the problem with it, Adelian, is that he's got that spammy Swift, which is the new Body Slam in my opinion. This thing spams off so quickly, faster than Body Slam, and with Fairy Wind too, you're doing great pressure onto your opponent, either getting the shield or doing that chip damage. And another charge move comes from the Marowak, showing why it's been so good. One, putting the hurt down in the wall onto those Galarian Weezings that were all over the place, but two, it was definitely there for a spam Bone Club as we farm down, and there goes the last of everything. No more health for any Pokemon.
No, and I think unfortunately, while Matthew was very good to maintain and keep a shield because Dusknoir did have a charge attack ready to go, unfortunately, the downside is Magmortar, and Magmortar is quite squishy. The Jellicent was caught, even though it's reasonably bulky in this meta, the Jellicent was caught by low kicks, and so the Marowak had to deal with that. Dusknoir just wasn't able to keep up. So unfortunately, Astonish was just able to go through the remainder of that team, shield or no shield. So I think very well played by Matt to make it as close as possible. 2 games on 1 HP and calculated decisions on game 3 as well. But unfortunately for him, Rhyblet does demonstrate his dominance once more and secures that 3-0 victory.
We're getting into round 3. The tournament's getting even hotter as we see fellow world finalist Polyzion battling here Rhyblet in round 3 of this Crypt Cup here in SPL League. We have not been disappointed so far with the plays of the world champion, and it is really important that he keeps as good as he is, because obviously there's some revenge, there's some aftertaste from last year's world finals, and I'm sure Pauly wants this win more than anything.
Absolutely. And of course, Rhyblet looking to keep his undefeated streak alive in this tournament. Polyazon's team looks on the face of it very similar to Rhyblet's as well, which will make things a bit more interesting. So you have the Lockix, you have the Galarian Weezing, you this time have a Shadow Marowak, which is going to be a little bit more interesting in terms of how its matches play up. Slightly less bulky, but a lot more threatening in terms of damage. You have the Amoonguss, which I think is common on both teams, as well as the Dusknoir. But here is the really interesting thing. We are seeing a return of Nidoqueen in the meta as well, something that I haven't seen in a while, ever since Poison Jab and Poison Fang got nerfed however many seasons ago it was. Bear in mind, it takes now 6 Poison Jabs to reach a Poison Fang, but will this be the meta where Nidoqueen can shine once again?
Ooh, we did a live practice tournament, and I'm gonna tell you now, Nidoqueen, I thought both the Nidos, I thought Poison were gonna play really well because Fairy was doing so great. And both of them did so poorly, especially when you came up against things like G Weezing when you're supposed to do well, and those brutal swings just start spamming really hard. As an immediate swap, the low kicks gets caught onto the G Weezing. Here comes the Clefable and the Amoonguss, one of my favorites that I was waiting for the Astonish to get boosted. It's so thick, it's so tanky, and it has a great slew of charge moves, but you don't know if this Amoonguss is running Foul Play Grass Knot, Foul Play Sludge Bomb, Grass Knot Sludge Bomb. A very interesting play by the players here, but with the Amoonguss. We'll see what Pauly's got on it as the first shield goes up, and it's the Sludge Bomb.
Yes, I think Rhyblet will be very glad to now know that this is Sludge Bomb Amoonguss. Has to be mindful, though, that Sludge Bomb does take a while to load up, whereas Clefable is able to get those Meteor Mashes off quickly, not wasting any time, going for 2 Meteor Mashes straight away, and the second shield now does come out, but Clefable's already at another Meteor Mash, so now does Polyazon want to invest that second shield to keep this alignment, and he chooses not to?
That's a good play there. That's a good play. Gotta let it go. Unfortunately, oh no, he did. He brought it in. I did not think the queen was coming game one, and here she is. But the Swift again, Adelian. Clip Fable showing why it became number one at the end of the month. With 1 HP in a dream, still gets about a quarter damage down onto that Nido Queen, and now he's got alignment. I think this is really interesting. Why not bring in the Marowak here? But we'll find out how Rhyblet wants to play this.
Yeah, I think it was sensible because Lockix, even though its matchup against Nidoqueen isn't fantastic, it's still going to be a lot better than the Galarian Weezing, and the Marowak will have an even better time against this Galarian Weezing. So sensible to now use Marowak here to eliminate the Galarian Weezing and still be able to soften up this Nidoqueen. Now, making a calculated play here that this will be a brutal swing, because if Galarian Weezing were to use the overheat, then its subsequent matchup against Lockix may not be as strong. So a right call here. A shield, and now gets the shield on the overheat. That is significant and really unfortunate for Polyazone.
Big brain play there from Rhyblet, putting up the shield perfectly onto that Marowak, keeping it into the green. Like, the overheat would have taken it to the deep red. The Fairy Wind still would have done it. He still would have farmed it down, and there still would have been a Nidoqueen who might have had a better opportunity here. But now having the Marowak be healthy, it brings in the low kicks with the X-Scissor. It was like, you know what, you're in the red now. X-Scissor away.
Yes, and this promptly eliminates the Nidoqueen that was building up a huge amount of energy there. And so I think it was the right call for Rhyblet to go for that snipe and get that final KO. And this is how you demonstrate that when you have a bad lead, when you're leading your Lockix into Galarian Weezing, the key thing is to try and win that switch advantage or put yourself into a scenario where having a shield advantage a shield advantage means you may be able to flip that lead matchup. So it is definitely not over till it is over, and this match really demonstrates that for Rhyblet.
Yeah, I mean, the meta was so good this month because you were able to lose leads and still believe in your team to get back. And with the the timer being closer now, these Fairy Winds building up and throwing and getting those fast spammy moves off, you were able to swap out Pokemon who had tons of health that could align again better against something in the back that they could farm up a little more and still then end up with energy against their first opponent matchup.
Yes, and now we will see how Polyazone is able to adjust and hopefully take a game off Rhyblet in this third round of SPL's Crypt Cup tournament here. And so the thought process is going to be, how do I adjust if I'm Polyazone? What do I want to bring instead? Maybe it's worth leading with the Nidoqueen, because even if you get a slightly bad matchup, as long as it's not the Shadow Marowak, you might have some play. But here is a Shadow Marowak, and it is going to be a face-off. Both Marowaks going up against each other. One adorned with the with its costume, and the other one a Shadow variant. Which one wins in this clash of wills as it goes to a charge attack priority? No, it doesn't actually. Sensible by Polyazone not to reveal that yet by over farming here.
I like that call by Polly because we've seen these Marowaks play throughout the month. The mirror is something you had to be aware of because Marowak's coming for those poisons. That's why Nidoqueen was not the best. But, you know, not revealing that info, now Rhyblet can't play or strategize some way of making a catch. Neither can Polly. But I think right now the reveal of the CMP is just done there. As the Marowak goes down, we'll see if Polly is going to keep that information in the back for game 3 or 2 later down the line, as now the Marowak has to see an Amoonguss, and Amoonguss, you know, only got one Astonishing. Oh my goodness. Look, it's double poison against double fairy, Adelian. Who's gonna win this matchup?
And this is a very brave call by Rhyblet to launch the overheat straight away. Is this going to go unshielded? It does go unshielded, but the amount of damage done on Nidoqueen is significant, but the bulk is impressive as well. Brutal Swing now coming off as well afterwards. However, this is going to not do as much damage because overheat does reduce the damage that you can do subsequently. But look at how low Nidoqueen is. The Rhyblet might still be able to take this out, but no, choosing to no shield here as an Earth Power comes in and eliminates the Galarian Weezing, a big threat taken out of Polyazone's team now. So, sorry, taken out of Rhyblet's team, so Polyazon feels a lot safer in the scenario. And a Clefable coming in here. Interesting.
After throwing all of the energy,
Oh, a catch.
absolutely. And he makes the catch too. We know Rhyblet's making plays out here, folks, with the Poison Fang still not taking out the Marowak, but they're 2 shields and energy on to this Clefable and 2 shields and energy onto that Amoonguss. Like you said before, it charges too much to get to that Sludge Bomb, which is the same as a Foul Play and the Grass Knot. So we're gonna have to see all of this energy. Will it have been enough buildup with the energy here for the Amoonguss with the Astonish, or will the Fairy Winds just get to all 4 of those Meteor Mashes that Rhyblet needs? He needs 4. Oh, he's going for the bait.
He's going for the bait. And first time he launched Meteor Mash and it was correctly shielded. Will Polyazon's nerve hold? Will he decide to no shield? He does make the right call. That's so impressive by Polyazon. But another one coming in now. And will the nerve hold twice? This is where it gets really tricky. Do you make that same call twice here? And this time he does fall for it, does take the shield, but he's rushing to get to another move. And does he reach it? Yes, Polyazon does reach it. But will it be a Sludge Bomb? Will it be the slightly softer Seed Bomb? What will it be?
It's the Sludge Bomb. He gets the shield and he gets to another Meteor Mash, and allowing that Swift might have been enough so that this Meteor Mash KOs Adelian. We're looking at big brain plays here, and it is unbelievable. Again, 1 HP in a dream on this Clefable. Understanding what the Swift damage does, not just what the Swift damage does, what it can leave the rest of the opponent at so that you can build up for that Meteor Mash. I'm just shocked. I'm stunned. He's playing out of his mind. 8 straight? 8 straight. Is that 8? That's 8. Unreal.
I think the Clefable is very much going to be the MVP. It just seems to have an unending amount of bulk where it can just survive on 1 HP to launch that Meteor Mash, which, bear in mind, only requires 6 Fairy Winds to get to, so it's pretty quick for the amount of damage it does. And it's not even the bait move, because you have Swift available as well. I personally think, therefore, Clefable might benefit from having Swift and Meteor Mash here rather than having Moonblast, but I'm sure you will find certain Crypt players who would feel otherwise. So this is the beauty of the meta. Even the moveset difference between Pokemon can be key. So let's see if Polyazon is able to resurrect and get a point. As we know, Devon tournaments do benefit from losing 2-1 over, as opposed to 3-0. Lockets comes in against Amoonguss here, which isn't ideal because Amoonguss is running Astonish.
What a call to lead the low kicks in this game. I don't understand. We've seen the wheezing. We've seen Needle Queens coming out. Why the low kicks lead was the way to go. And he gets the Amoonguss though. He's just on another level at this point in this tournament. As the X-Scissor does almost half the health of the Amoonguss. Now it's with the deep red with the Sucker Punches. Yeah, you don't want to go with the Trailblaze. The Sucker Punches are doing fine. You can take whatever this is. The Sludge Bomb will put you in the red, but you can farm it down and throw the charge move. He's just going to throw immediately and see what he can get and not even try to tempt with anything here. And I like that. I like that a lot because he gets the shield and Simo KO? What?
Wow, that's going to be very, very cool. Rhyblet's benefited from that more because he hasn't had to give up a shield. I think Polyazon was hoping he could launch another attack, but may have lost all that energy on the Amoonguss as well. As Clefable comes in against a Marowak, this is relatively neutral for both Pokemon, but it is going to depend on what... Oh, and now switching into the Nido Queen, and that's responded, and now the rock, paper, scissors aspect of the game does come in, and Polyazon recognizing he has no way to break this because 2 shields, Marowak against the
Needle Queen.
Against
Needle Queen.
That was it. My mind went blank for a second.
Yeah.
That's a matchup you're not going to win with a shield advantage or even on shield parity. So Polyazon recognizing I can't do this. I'm done.
Yeah, Marowak. The Marowak would have mud slapped all the way down, had tons of energy for the opponent Marowak, leaving it in the deep red. And we've already seen what Swift can do with the Clefable. Clefable being so strong, Rhyblet recognizing, Poly recognizing. That's why they're world finalists. We'd love to see the third matchup, but we don't want to see a slaughter like that. Understanding that it's a hard, again, he made the call with the low kicks lead onto the jealousy catch, and then leading low kicks against Pauly in game 3 of this matchup.
Yes, against the Amoongus, that's right.
He just making all of the right calls, and it's just, this is Rhyblet's tournament right now. He's 3-0, about to go see who is it in round 4. We don't know. Let's go find out who he goes sees in round 4 right now. All right, now it's round 4. We are 9-0. We've undefeated Italian. Rhyblet is undefeated. We're following this.
It's a familiar tale. Rhyblet being undefeated so far. 3 consecutive 3-0 matchups here, but going up in round 4 against a personal friend of mine in Aerobubble, hailing from the UK, a fantastic trainer in his own right, and a world's competitor in this Play Pokemon season previous Play Pokemon season in Hawaii, in Honolulu. So that must have been really, really fun. Aerobubble really enjoyed that. He was telling me all about it. And so in order to qualify for Worlds, you have to be something special. So for Rhyblet to go up against Aerobubble is going to be very tough, because Aerobubble is a very analytical and dedicated battler.
Looking at the team, you could tell he's very analytical. He brought in a couple of mud slappers we hadn't seen before, and he's brought the Alolan Marowak with the low kicks as his restrictions. Alolan Marowak got the Fire Spin boost, but people have still been rocking the Hex. We'll see how he plays that. But he's got Golrook and Donphan there, 2 mud slappers that we have not really seen or really talked about this meta. One being normal, one being, ground, and one being pure ghost. Real great Pokemon right there, giving amazing coverage, followed by the Beedrill, and again, the Magmortar. Again, I didn't see Magmortar in my local, I didn't see it in a couple others, but in SBL, definitely saw some Magmortars. It's super fun.
Yes, and this is a Shadow Magmortar as well from Aerobubble's side. So Aerobubble running 4 Shadows. I think Shadow Alolan Marowak, which makes a lot of sense. The Shadow Golurk with those Mud Slaps being buffed and its naturally high attack is very, very popular in the Go Battle League, not to mention in Crypt as well. It can also be just as dominant. The Donphan's interesting because it will, of course, run Mud Slap, but it could also potentially run Counter. Don't think there's room for Counter in this meta, but it might be very, very interesting to see what does Aero come up with. And then, of course, the Shadow Beedrill and Shadow Magmortar are much more commonly seen in Crypt. As Donphan comes in, so we're going to immediately know what Pokemon or what moveset it's going to have. Galarian Weezing's probably not going to appreciate that Mud Slap, though, is it?
No, it's not going to appreciate that Mud Slap. Now, Donphan also has access to Trailblaze too and Body Slam, so we'll see what he does there. Bringing in the low kicks, and now low kicks kind of giving away the game because the Weezing can just come back in and farm it down. We'll see, but Aerobubble left with energy on that Donphan. We'll see how, that Shadow Ball did a lot more than I thought it was going to do as he gets to another Shadow Punch, just putting the pressure down. This Dust Noir really doing a great job here, being as tanky and putting that pressure down. And, I thought he won that. I thought he won that 1 HP'd, the low kicks. And does low kicks have a charge move?
It does have a charge move indeed, and is able to launch it. It's not going to do a huge amount of damage onto the Galarian Weezing, but this is exactly what Aerobubble wants. He wants his low kicks to be as low as possible, going for Trailblaze, which is singly resisted here and sensible. And now the Donphan comes back in. The Mud Slaps are slowly building up here, but of course, Galarian Weezing able to get to that Brutal Swing after only 4 Fairy Winds is going to start churning out the damage, and a shield comes in just to protect that Donphan a little bit more as those Mud Slaps do add up. And now Rhyblet has a decision to make. Does he also shield this Galarian Weezing? But then the Mud Slaps may take it out.
The Body Slam does not KO as the Mud Slap of the Marowak comes through, and that does a pretty good chunk damage there on the fast move. We'll see what's in the back. Will it be a B in the back? Will it be the Mag Mortar? Can he take out the Donphan in time? And no, Donphan's able to get that last charge move off just in time and forcing the final shield. But you know what? Looking in the back, there's really nothing that Marowak is afraid of, and 2 Rock Slides ready to go on that Shadow Beedrill might actually be the defensive hurt and the need that Rhyblet wants.
Yes, I think Marowak coming in clutch here is able to, doesn't launch straight away, but this is okay because Beedrill, even though it has access to Drill Run, will probably be able to not, well, just about, oh no, it just does, just about survives. I thought Marowak might go down here, but no, Rockslide is able to come off and Shadow Beedrill does not have the defenses to survive this, I suspect.
Not even a shield left in 1 Mud Slap. Again, proving and showing that you could lose the lead in this meta and still come back strong if you build up with the energy and play against it. Arrow had the energy on that Donphan and did really great with it. The issue there was, though, he's playing against the world champion. That's the only thing I can think of is that it's the world champ.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually am very surprised that Rhyblet was able to pull out that win in the end. I think having the advantage of that Marowak having so much energy and having a reasonably good matchup to withstand Donphan's attacks, and then also have the double rock side for the Beedrill, that I think was decisive, because up until the very end of the game, I feel Aero Bubble was very much in the driver's seat. Getting the lock kicks, the only Pokemon that has a good matchup against the Dusknoir, because all the others are quite soft against Dusknoir. Lock kicks was aligned perfectly, and there were no shields used, and it was left on 1 HP, so it didn't give Rhyblet much farm. The gameplay was fantastic, but right at the end, dominance of Rhyblet's Marowak was just too much to deal with. So very interested to see what changes. What will Aero Bubble do in response to this?
I'm excited to see how Aero Bubble adjusts too, because once the low kicks is off the table, you're kind of okay bringing in your Marowak. Marowak with shields looks really good against Aero Bubble's team. We've got the rock and the fire Pokemon that, or the bug and the fire Pokemon that don't want to see either the rock nor the mud bombs, and those Donphan and Golrux is just getting mud slapped. So I feel like once low kicks is off the table, Rhyblet feels really safe with that Marowak. As we see, I believe he's probably going to bring it back in this next matchup here.
Yes, I would be excited to see what does what is brought, what changes, what is the difference in the team lineups. It's nice that Aero Bubble knows that his Lockix can survive a Shadow Ball and a Shadow Punch. Oh, another great lead for. Well, actually, this is relatively even because the Sucker Punches do a lot, but so does the Alolan Marowak's Fire Spins, and a slow swap out. There's Donphan now comes in against the Marowak from Rhyblet's side, but we have a threat here: Body Slams bait or Trailblaze to boost those Mud Slaps. Let's see what it is. In this case, it is a Body Slam, I think, and then Marowak is more than happy to survive one of these.
Yeah, more than happy. Can take him, soak him. The defense on Marowak is super strong. Here comes the Bone Club. You know, got another one ready to go. 1 tap in. There's an extra farm. Maybe that's enough to get the second shield from his opponent. We'll find out if he wants to get that and be ahead. No, we're going to say goodbye to the Donphan. And Aero Bubble comes in with his own low kicks. We talked about it. It's the thing he doesn't, that can only beat that Marowak. And here it is, low kicks. But guess what? He makes the right call and brings in G-Weezing, and now he gets to marry G-Weezing onto that low kicks. With Switch ready to go, and G-Weezing not afraid of that bone clubbing Alolan Marowak because it's got that spammy Brutal Swing.
Yes, and Brutus will do a lot, especially to a Shadow Alolan Marowak, and now a swap in to the Lockix, and this is now a relatively even matchup. Both Pokemon using their super effective fast attacks, but Lockix has a shield advantage here and doesn't mind taking a Shadow Ball now, but there is a defense drop which may change things quite significantly.
That defense drop against those fire spins is not what low kicks wants. He's got to spam off that X scissor now. Rhyblet understanding there's a debuff, there's a situation, but you know what? Keeps his cool, gets the final shield, and can he get to the last charge move in time? Nope. As low kicks, it's fine. He's got a G-Weezing in the back and an overheat that he wants to get to.
Yes, and there's no shields from Aero Bubble anymore, which is there's nothing to protect Lockix from this overheat. I think if there was a shield, then it might have been a bit more of an even scenario because Weezing could not risk the overheat here. Lockix desperately trying to put as much damage out as possible with the Trailblazers, but the Sucker Punch is resisted. The Trailblazers resisted. The X-Scissor is resisted. What can Lockix do? Not much as overheat comes through. One of the hardest hitting fire type attacks in the game, and this absolutely annihilates Lockix.
Yeah, it's going back to the ball. Gonna go see Nurse Joy. The adjustment from Aero Bubble to bring in the Alolan Marowak was great. To draw out that Marowak closer, I felt was the call that he wanted and exactly what he got. The only issue is he has the G-Weezing, which is numero uno. And if you can get G-Weezing to farm that low kicks down, you're in a really good position, especially if they're bringing back in the Marowak to go against it, because you at least can get a shield or do great chip damage with that brutal swing.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see if Aero Bubble is able to salvage a game here, as so far Rhyblet continues his undefeated streak in the Crypt Block. It seems he has mastered things. It's absolutely mastered. But so far we are on 9 wins in three rounds and going into two additional wins from this match. So it's 11 wins so far, back to back. That is wild.
You know what? We haven't even seen Adelian, and I'm really mad about it. I hope we're changing it now. Oh, he's making it. We haven't seen Amoonguss come out. We have not seen Amoonguss come out at all. And I recognized this earlier in the tournament too. Amoonguss has been great bench pressure for you when you're up against this, because they play against you and you get things like low kicks coming at you, but then you also have that G-Weezing in the back. So it's low kicks on low kicks. Are we going to see the... Oh, he wins CAP. We don't see a Sucker Punch go through. And unlike Paulie, Aero Bubble tries the CAP at the same time.
Yes, and Lockix so does actually no shield this and didn't expect the X's are there. This is what I was saying about how bug type Lockix is weak to itself and its own bug type attacks. X's are coming in now. This does get resisted by by the Beedrill, but both moves are double resisted, so it makes sense to go for the X's here because at least you get the same type attack bonus. But there is a shield here, interestingly, to try and preserve the health of this Beedrill even further.
Once you start getting into the deep yellow, throw the charge move. That shield might have been nice, but the Beedrill's only going to be able to get one charge move off. With the deep red, you've got Mud Slappers flying around on that poison bug. The X-Scissor isn't going to take it to the deep yellow, and here comes the Donphan. Oh,
and this is actually quite good that Donphan has been is being entertained, shall we say, by Marowak here, because the more damage this Donphan has on it, the safer Galarian Weezing is in the back. So Rhyblet more than happy to just continue chipping away with the Mud Slap. Does have the shield advantage as well. Is it worth shielding one? Yes, it definitely is, just to be able to get off some more damage as Donphan now gets the Trailblaze off. No hesitation from Rhyblet as he throws that Bone Club to try and eliminate this Donphan once and for all.
Recognizing he needed to get that last shield just in case, Donphan boosted up on Mud Slaps already, gonna do more damage to this Weezing, so he wants to hold it down. Nothing's gonna do anything to Weezing, and what a flex! I'm sorry, that's such a flex. You know those Mud Slaps are gonna come in hard. You know you've got to stay healthy, and you just take that boosted body slam. There's a bee in the back that's got poison too, and you just know you're feeling good with that boosted body slam, walking away with the shield. Rhyblet now 12-0, going 4-0 in this SBL tournament. Incredible, Adelian. And all this time without Clefable. This was a no Clefable team, which we've seen him do numerous amounts of times the whole tournament. I don't think we saw Clefable once.
And I think that's sensible. When you look at Aero Bubble's team, the main target for it would be that Lockix, which didn't come out very much because Lockix is also because you have Alone and Marowak, you have Magmortar, both fire types, you have a poison type in Beedrill, and then you have 2 mud slappers in Shadow Golurk and Donphan. So, and Shadow Golurk means you can't use Swift against, you can't use Swift if you're Clefable because it does so little damage. So I think it was sensible here, good choice of Rhyblet to use his other Pokemon and leave his ace of spades, shall we say, Clefable, safely in the Pokeball for this match. So we are now going to be going to round 5 very soon. I'm so excited to see. When will this undefeated streak end? When?
Let's find out. Here we go. It's the final round. The undefeated world champion making a statement here in his first meta tournament of the first month of season 2 of Devon. And he is up against Cathead Eagle in the final matchup. I'm telling you, we've seen so many incredible battles so far. Like, I am just at the edge of this seat here. We've got incredible team play happening. What do you see here with Cathead Eagle?
So the team is as follows for Cathead Eagle. It's Galarian Weezing, which we've seen so much from Rhyblet and many, many other fabulous trainers. We have the Lapras that we saw, I believe, in game 1 against with Ricky Burrows, if my memory is correct. The Clefable, of course, you got to have Clefable in Crypt, it seems. Spiritomb, which we've seen once before, but then here's where it gets very, very interesting. The first time in this run, we're seeing Frostlass come in. Frostlass will be interesting again with its coverage. It's kind of similar to Piloswine, where it's got the ice coverage, but then it also has a very different typing, which allows for some fantastic additional coverage that might be impactful in the meta. And then, of course, wrapping it up is the Amoonguss that we've seen a fair few times as well. So Cathead Eagle at this point has done very, very well. He's not had a loss yet. He too is undefeated in the tournament, although he has taken the odd 2-1 loss at some point somewhere earlier in the matchup. So a slight chink in the armor, maybe? I don't know, but it remains to be seen. These two titans are now facing off to determine who is the king of the crypt.
I gotta say, Cathead Eagle looks so strong. They both have similar teams. Double Fairy Play could play out here. Amoonguss League could play out here. The only difference is they brought the ice. Cathead has that ice Pokemon, which, you know, not really what we've been highlighting, but still one of those gotta be aware of. Powder Snow can bring on not only a triple axle, but it could also do avalanche, or they could bring on that shadow ball, maybe even a crunch, depending on what Cathead wants to do. But we're looking at Dusknoir right into that G-Weezing, and immediate swaps into the safest thing, the MVP Clefable.
And Clefable trying to catch the Meteor Mash, doesn't get it, but this is actually quite good because Lapras has Water Gun here, which means the pressure from its fast attacks is now going to be even more significant. But Meteor Mash is neutral against Lapras, resisted by the water typing, but super effective against the ice typing here. And taking the Meteor Mash early on makes it difficult for Cathead Eagle, because the debate is going to be, now do I need to play bait games? Do I need to shield a Swift? Do I not shield a Swift? Etc, etc. And the energy is so high. I think over farming their Rhyblet, maybe making a little bit of a mistake with his energy, but it doesn't really matter because he's able to launch that Meteor Mash and get that potentially another shield. No shield. Oh no, just about survives. Wow. I thought Lapras would get a move off there, but it did not.
Remember, Surf got nerfed. So now Water Gun's got to get extra damage or extra time up there to get it, and it doesn't in time, and Lapras goes down, gives up the shield finally to the G-Weezing. We have some taps here. Looks like we got plays going on. There it is.
I think there was a moment where there was a bit of indecision, shall we say, from Galarian Weezing, but it catches up, is able to launch the Play Rough, which we hadn't seen before. Play Rough on Galarian Weezing. That is new. Again, an example of varying movesets with the same meta Pokemon.
And I love it that Devon provides that for us battlers. You don't mind playing the same Pokemon, but you know what? You want to bring in a different play style with it. Now that the Play Rough's been revealed, he can go straight for the Overheat. This is going to unlock the mirror matchup of these G-Weezings, and it's going to be really fun to watch. Are they going to try to each make a catch on each other? What's happening here?
And Rhyblet going for that overheat straight away in the hope that this goes no shielded. The question is there going to be shield? The shield does come in, and oh no, it's a charge attack priority event as well. You see Rhyblet was trying to swap out here and wasn't able to do so. This play rough now coming in is going to do a respectable amount of damage. Not very effective. Dustnar now coming in. I'm not sure if this is going to be the play because Brutal Swing is still present, we believe, on this Galarian Weezing, and Dustnar does take super effective damage from Dark Attacks. Look at how much damage Brutal Swing does, and that was just after 4 Fairy Winds. And a catch in response.
It's a Clefable in the back too. Not expecting that catch, and Clefable takes a quarter of its health from that Shadow Punch. He's got a shield. Can he get to the Shadow Ball? He goes straight for the Shadow Punch, counting on his opponent perfectly right before that Meteor Mash or Swift comes through again. We don't know what his Clefable is rocking. Cat Head Eagle is playing a game of guess who. If he shields, this Clefable goes down and all the energy that goes down with it, and that's gonna be the case. Now he's got the Shadow Punch ready to go on the G-Weezing. What a play, what a recognition by Rhyblet, and able maybe to take out Weezing here. Oh, he is.
To do so, he was expecting the snipe, and he calculated accordingly. What a risky play, but sensible, logical, and it just demonstrates the high level at which these trainers are playing at, where they are always thinking one step ahead. This is exactly what you expect from a final where both of these trainers are vying for that 5-0 sweep of a massive tournament for in the Devon series.
I mean, a big win here will put you on top as number 1 in the leaderboards. And like, not for nothing, the two of them that lose this one too, like the ranking of Devon is on the ranking of your opponent too. So everybody's brand new here. Nobody's absolutely overranked. So being number 5 and then going 4-1, you literally are going to sit at second place, depending how the rest of the tournaments for Devon rankings go through. It's really incredible here. They are fighting for what could be front page of the new leaderboard, which comes out in a week. Which should come out in a week, yeah?
Yes, that's right. I think the website team are working very, very closely on it to try and get all those results in. But we need to therefore see, there's been so many big tournaments that have been won, Pallet Town PvP, SPL, not to mention many others, having 5, 6, 7 rounders. The Pogo Raiders as well comes to mind. So I'm very excited to see who is going to be top after month 1. But for now, let us see how much more dominance can Rhyblet demonstrate here.
He's bringing it. He's bringing the Among Us. Finally, it's getting off the bench. Is it going to be good enough? He's got to shake off some of those are they shield hands? Does he have shield for hands? He's just got to wiggle off whatever fun he's got on that fungus, and he's going right in. The Astonish again got boosted. He is rocking Sludge Bomb and Grass Knot and goes straight for the Sludge Bomb.
Yes, I think it's sensible. With energy parity here, you might as well go for the super effective attack on the Clefable. I would expect to see a shield here, but no shield. That's going to be problematic because Clefable is now trying to rush to a move itself. Oh dear. And so now, is there a Meteor Mash to at least chip away on this Among Us before it goes down? Surely there is, and it goes no shielded.
Among Us on Among Us, which is not a problem for Rhyblet's Among Us because, again, having Sludge Bomb is a great play, especially against these grass Pokemon. Puts more pressure down, maybe forces a shield.
Let's find out. And no, yes, there is a shield here, and I think Amoongus was trying to go for the farm down on Cathead Eagle's side, so a swap into the Galarian Weezing. Now, this is going to be interesting because you have a poison type move going up against a poison fairy, so this is ultimately going to be neutral. Going for the Grass Knot here, which is interesting. I was also going to expect the Sludge Bomb, but that's okay because another Grass Knot now can potentially be launched, or the Sludge Bomb, but this goes shielded, so it is an irrelevancy. What comes out as a second Grass Knot is launched.
Look at all of the energy Rhyblet is building up, almost 2 overheats now. Like, that is the play he wants. He wants this Among Us to shield this and get off the table, and he does 1, 2, and he gets the overheat on the Water Gun Lapras. The clock is about to run out, which means he can swap out this debuffed Weezing now and bring in his own Clefable. And Overheat debuffed, only didn't even do half of the health of Lapras. That's a tanky Pokemon right there.
It is, but this Meteor Mash is still going to do a huge amount of damage. Oh, it's a neutral Pokemon, so it's a neutral attack. But Lapras is able to get that Surf off, which goes shielded by Clefable. Clefable recognizing that we need to keep the health up as much as possible. Is there a potential for a farm down with Fairy Wind as well on this Lapras? It's going to be really close. It's getting close to the wire. And yes, there is a farm down, and that's going to be huge for Clefable.
Huge indeed. It's loaded with energy now. We know there was a G-Weezing somewhere and an Amoonguss. Look, they tried to make catches and Clefable, and there it is. Adelian, the Meteor Mash, which will give Rhyblet the 5-0 in the tournament. Oh my goodness! My goodness!
And it does it, and just about gets that brutal swing off, and now it is very, very decisive. That brutal swing undoubtedly is going to knock out this Amoonguss, but it was so close. I think one more turn, and Astonish would have KO'd that Galarian Weezing. So again, a very, very close battle. Now, that's 2 wins secured, and therefore the match. But like I said, there's always that third match to consider, because it would be very respectable for Cathead Eagle to lose 2-1 against the Devon world champion for Season 1. That's going to be very credible, surely.
Right, like, you gotta get the win. Get a point. You gotta feel good about yourself if you walk away with a win. And I think that's what Cathead wants to do. Rhyblet is undefeated unto this point. He's going for win 15 here. Win 15 in our first DevonCorps meta tournament. This is huge. The world champion is making a statement. He said in the first spotlight meta, he doesn't think he's got a target on his back, and he doesn't see it to be that big of a thing. And guess what? Doesn't seem like he's bothered by anybody bringing anything. As we're getting into the final matchup, Amoonguss right into the water gun Lapras now. Gotta feel really good as immediate swaps out, and it's Amoonguss on Amoonguss.
Yes, and I think Rhyblet stays in here just to soften up this Amoonguss, so then he can consider a switch further on. So this is very much like a chip and then dip out of it, and there is immediate dip into the Galarian Weezing afterwards. And now this Amoonguss is in Brutal String KO range after a few more Fairy Winds. So I think this is a very sensible play. Not ideal for Cathead Eagle to be caught with the Amoonguss versus the Lapras matchup here. And again, not much damage done. This Galarian Weezing is still able to do... Oh, that looked like a charge attack priority event.
It did. I didn't see an Astonish go through.
Yes, so let's see. And yes, the Brutal Swing. Oh, no, it just about survives. That's incredible. And that means Grass Knot at this range would potentially KO. Or if it's a Sludgemon, most certainly it would KO. And it is indeed the Grass Knot. No, it doesn't. Galarian Weezing does survive, and an instant swap into the Lapras. And it actually gets farmed down before an overheat can be launched. Amoonguss now comes back in, which is going to be really useful because it can bulk out a lot of those water guns. What is the second move on that Lapras? I don't think we'll find out, because this Grass Knot is going to do a huge amount of damage on the Lapras.
I'm going to let you know right now, I'm pretty sure it's Ice Beam. I'm pretty sure I remember this matchup and he Ice Beamed me, and I was like, it can't be Ice Beam with Water Gun, and it was Ice Beam. So we'll find out it's the Ice Beam.
And it is, and it does secure one hit KO basically onto the Amoonguss. Oh, well, after the chip damage, and now we have the ever so reliable Clefable coming back in. Clefable farming up lots of energy, trying to get a bait off here with Swift. Is this going to go shielded? This is a sensible bait attempt, because a Meteor Mash would pretty much bring Lapras into it. Does it go shielded? It does. The bait is successful and is farming up even more now, just toying. And oh my goodness, there's a catch at the last second to swap out on the meter. How did Cathead Eagle pull that off? That was incredible.
Incredible indeed. He must have had that Ramberto feel to just be like, I know you're going to throw at this point. I've counted 12. I have that feeling. An incredible catch. That was all of that energy gone. As you see, Lapras really needs that Surf or that Meteor Mash to really put the pressure down or to be taken out. And now it's caught. Now, we still don't even know what the third Pokemon is. Have we not seen the third Pokemon yet?
No, I don't think so. And I think it's just a matter of time now. Clefable going for that Meteor Mash here to take out this Lapras and then have as much energy as possible built, ready to go. But it is quite low. What is going to be that final Pokemon? And it is a Clefable of its own. So now Clefable needs to get this Meteor Mash out as soon as possible. But is it going to be enough? The mirror match has begun, but it's so. Look at how much damage it does.
Does it have Swift? That's the big question. Oh, I think his cat head has Swift, as that was given 2 extra taps. There's the Meteor Mash on cat head. So close indeed. Not this time. 1 HP in a dream, Clefable. Not this time.
Absolutely not, and fantastic play there. Cathead Eagle, the only player to take a match off Rhyblet, the Devon World Champion in this Crypt Cup. So this is a 5-0 sweep for Rhyblet, 14-1. What an incredible run in SPL. Utter dominance, and I'm genuinely scared to face him in the next match because he has shown no mercy at all to anybody. Reputations galore have now been shattered in this tournament.
Yeah, you go and you win the championship and you come back the next season. Maybe there's some spider webs you got to shake off. Maybe there's, some hype. You're like, oh, you lose a first matchup or something like that. Something the tournament doesn't go your way and you just kind of like fumble back into it. And maybe by the end of the season, you come back in full force. Not this time. Rhyblet came super strong. Game 1, 1 HP in dreams. Game 2, making the right calls and catches. Game 3, outplaying without the Pokemon that's been his dominant Pokemon. Or sorry, that was round 4, doing all of that. And then game 5, making sure he ends with a exclamation point there. He did so great adapting to his tournament, and to be honest, for the rest of us Devon Corp battlers, like, good luck trying to get to first again, because I don't think he's letting off the pedal here at all.
No, definitely not. So it'll be a tough one. There's some fantastic trainers. C. Leonardo was top of the leaderboards in the last season. So that will be an interesting matchup to see if that happens in due course. We have, bear in mind, the Latin American International Showdown happening on Saturday, the 9th of November. I think that's going to be at around 7 p.m. Brazilian time. So that will be very, very cool. And we're going to see this structure form of these international champions facing off against each other, along with the best of the best on the Devon Series leaderboard at the end of the season. But I think Rhyblet will be very much up there one way or another.
Yeah, these LAISs are so exciting at the end of this week. That's going to be this Saturday. So be on the lookout, as DevonCorpsGG on Twitch is going to be giving you all of that live stream action. It's going to be super fun. And it's not the Crypt Cup this month. It's going to be the Chaos Cup, DevonCorp's newest cup for the month of November. So these Latinum battlers are bringing in some really interesting play styles, as the Chaos Cup is bringing out some incredible lines of 6 that I don't think I've come across or seen or would ever think to pair yet, and I've been having tons of fun in it. So good luck out there with the Chaos Cup and all those Latinum battlers. Adele, do you have anything you'd like to say about the Chaos Cup and what Latinum we can expect from them?
Well, we are going to soon have a graphic suggesting a few teams that players may want to try in their initial tournaments, and we can get some practice done, some scrims done, which you can do in the Devon Corp server, Discord server. So do jump in on discord.devon.gg and you can battle and get some practice with your fellow battlers. Bear in mind that whoever wins LAIS will get a direct invite to the Devon World Championships, and the best performing player who lives in the Latin American region will also get 100 USD as a prize as well. So there's money to be won.
Okay.
Do not miss out, and it's a perfect time for a lot of people right in the evening, so you can have your dinner and then go and battle and ensure your dominance and put your mark on history in the Devon Corporation.
Now, is this a in-person IS or is this a remote IS?
No, this will be a remote tournament, and it will be live remote as well, but it will be live streamed. So make sure you're in our Discord so you can take part in all of that. It means there's no barrier to you to take part. You can play from anywhere in the world as long as you're up at that time and you're ready to battle and you have a team and you've signed up on Dracovis, then we are ready for you.
Awesome. So great. So get out there, battlers, and good luck as you are all getting ready on the next month of the Chaos Cup in this Latinum International stage. Adelian, thank you for joining me today on this wonderful run. We had the world champion 5-0. I was like, who better than to have Adelian from the EU give us all of the SBL love, because we love the EU representation. The battlers come up with some fun stuff. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me, SosaFlow, and thank you again to Sosa for all this fantastic content creation for the Devon Corporation. We couldn't be anywhere without you.
Absolutely. You guys keep providing amazing metas, and I'll keep helping people analyze them so that we can get people into their locals and into these fun tournaments. The grassroots is alive and living here in Season 2 as Rhyblet takes a 5-0 after the Crypt Cup meta. That is right. We are in it, so get on the lookout. Join the Devon Discord. The links will be down below. Be sure to hit like and subscribe for all of the meta fun and the tournament runs that we do here at Poke Battle Network. Thank you again, Adelian, for joining me in this wonderful tournament shoutcast. We will see you down the road in more of these, hopefully, as we get closer and closer to the World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the Poke Battle Network. I'm SosaFlow, and like always, keep on battling.